Hello everybody. 19th season of IPL is upon us. It's so strange. Still remember when Brendan McCullum hit that 158 on 19th of April 2008 and now in its 19th season. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing it a two-part series where we'll sort of preview five teams in our own style. So usually most of the people prefer doing a SWOT analysis. What are the chances? ऐसे नहीं कि हम बहुत अलग करेंगे, but in our own limited way we'll try figuring out what will take for each team to sort of make to the playoff, and we'll look at who are the favorites. To start with, I don't think any other team can be better to start discussing other than the Chennai Super Kings. So we'll sort of look at five parameters. For Chennai, the firepower. I think the modern T20 game has now gone into beast mode, as they say. So firepower is very very important. And with the trades that has happened, with the auction that CSK has managed to do, I would sort of rate them 8.5 out of 10. Their batting firepower, that is. The likes of Ruturaj Gaikwad, Sanju Samson, now that they have confirmed that this will be their opening pair, I think that lays a very solid platform for others to follow. Then there is, Dewald Brevis, there is Shivam Dubey, Sarfaraz Khan, I think, slots in at number 3, given that Ruturaj and Samson might choose to open. So 8.5 out of 10. That's a fair assessment with coming into the X Factor. Sanju Samson, the man has had so much happening in the last month or so, wherein he has sort of moved decades with that body of work in those three penultimate games that he helped India win, and eventually India went on to win the World Cup. So Sanju Samson at CSK, which now promises at the Chepauk, which promises to be a batting belter. I think he'll love those conditions. He'll love the atmosphere, the admiration, everything that sort of comes in being a CSK player. I think he will revel in that, and I think he will be CSK's biggest X factor this season. The gamble, the third parameter that we would be assessing each of the teams is gamble, and I think CSK's core philosophy of trusting experienced international players, and I think they hit that rock a couple of years, and even though they may be a couple of years late in realizing that, but they immediately saw the results when they brought in Bruvis, when they brought in Urvil Patel, Ayush Matre last season, and the flamboyance of youth was there for everybody to see. But I think they have just pushed it up a bit much this time with signing of talents like Prashant Veer and Karthik Sharma for 14 CR each. It might be too much money on younger talents, but let's see how they proceed. I think that is where Chennai's season might also unfold, wherein how these uncapped players come to the party. What will be worrying aspect for CSK fans? I think if you ask, hand to heart to every CSK fan, the bowling looks very thin on paper. Gone are the days of Doug Bollinger, Dwayne Bravo, even certain Muthaiya Muralidharan, R. Ashwin, Jadeja, when these bowling units used to sort of hunt teams for fun, especially in the unbudden that they like to call it. There is hardly any bowler of note, and especially with the exit of Nathan Ellis due to injury, the bowling looks very thin on paper at least. So that is one big worrying factor. But with CSK, you never know. And if CSK is having a good tournament, the seats at every stadium is full, and obviously the 7 factor will obviously be carrying a lot of goodwill with them. To be honest, and I think many of you might say that I'm being very critical, but I feel that CSK's playoff chances at this time is around 50%. Let's see how the season unfolds for CSK. The second team, and obviously when we discuss CSK, the other team has to be MI. 5-time champions just like CSK, but and if you talk about firepower, their firepower is 9.5 by 10. Can you discount a team that has Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, Ryan Rickelton, Tilak Verma, Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Will Jacks, Sharfin Rutherford, and I'm not even counting Mitchell Santner at this point in time, Naman Dheer as well. 9.5 out of 10. That is some batting unit, to be honest. And tell me honestly, in a team where there is Jasprit Bumrah, can there be a bigger X factor? Uh, Bumrah has to be the X factor for Mumbai. Gamble, and it's very interesting that I see the gamble that Mumbai sort of took a couple of years ago when they brought in Hardik Pandya from Gujarat Titans. There was a lot of hue and cry about, why Hardik when there is already Rohit who has been doing an excellent job and all of that. But you get it from a cricketing standpoint that Rohit might not be in the peak of his years, especially with IPL. Let's be honest, Rohit has not been that great batter this particular decade in the IPL at least. So it made a lot more sense of someone who can be the fulcrum of the side, who can contribute with both bat and ball and be the talisman of the team. But that may have sort of fractured the leadership group in Mumbai. Last year we did see sign of things coming together, and I think Mumbai fans will hope that it's very unified this year around with incumbent Surya Kumar Yadav, the World Cup winning captain in waiting. I just hope that the egos are balanced pretty well, and I think that is where the gamble lies for Mumbai Indians. What will be worrying for Mumbai Indians is, even with when we speak about CSK, the dad's army and everything that a fan may call them, or the critics may be calling them, they won 3 titles in 6 years from 2018 to 2023. So yet it's just the couple of seasons that they have not made it to the playoff. But Mumbai surprisingly are yet to open their account after 2020. So that's 5 years without a trophy, and I don't think there has been a single stretch in the IPL history where Mumbai has gone without a trophy for this long. So have they forgotten the art of winning? I think that's an exaggerated statement, to be honest. The playoff chances for Mumbai with the team that they have, with the core group of players that they have, the bowling arsenal, the batting unit, the fielding, I think 90%. And I think I'm still understating when I say it 90%. Mumbai with that team has to make the playoff, or we are watching some other game of cricket if that doesn't happen. Coming from Mumbai and making a switch up north, we would be looking at LSG. LSG's firepower, I would sort of rate it a 7.5 out of 10. The likes of Marsh, Pooran, Pant, and Markram. And I think 3-4 seasons of Lucknow, and I think we are seeing more of the same with them. Very, very top heavy, with a very inexperienced lower middle order, which will be a sort of a big worry for LSG and continues to be so. A returning Shami, a very hungry Shami, we may call it, snubbed from other 2 formats. In fact, all the 3 formats of the game for the national team. I think he would certainly have a point to prove, but how that particular thing comes up is something that we would be very interested to see. And if you look at T20 bowling options from a defensive standpoint as well, I think Lucknow lacks on that front. Enric Nokia, Mohammad Shami, Digvish, Rathi. I don't think these are the bowlers who would use sort of give you sleepless nights. So I think there may be utility bowlers with them, but I don't think there is a standout name there. The X factor, if we speak about, continues to be Nicholas Pooran, despite him not being in representing the West Indies. I think Nicholas Pooran is a big enough name to trouble many teams in the league. And what could potentially be their biggest gamble? I think that 27 crore question continues to be that. Project Pant continues to be the biggest gamble for LSG. I would rate their playoff chances at a low 30%. Coming from Lucknow, not very far away, going to the Punjab Kings, the perennial bridesmaid, and they almost had one hand on the trophy last season, led by a very inspirational captain Shreyas Iyer. And Punjab's firepower, interestingly, if you look at it, it was a coming of season for many of the uncapped players last year. But if you look at their firepower, particularly on paper at least, it doesn't seem very rollicking for me. There is a certain Priyan Sharia, there is Prabh Simran Singh, there is of course Shreyas Iyer, Nehal Vadera, Marcus Stoinis. I think I would give them a very critical 7 on 10 based on the batting firepower. I think they could have gone something better in their auction or with their retention strategy. but I think they would know better than what we know at this point in time. So without Josh Inglis, I think that batting looks a bit lean. It's a 7 on 10 for on firepower for me. X factor, I think one player who has grown leaps and bounds in the last 18 months has to be Marco Jansen, both with the bat and with the ball across formats. He has been a gun player for every side that he has represented. I think he'll have a big say in how Punjab Kings progress this season. Gamble. As we spoke about their uncapped core coming together, had a big party last season. For them to come again this time around, that will take a lot of doing. And that, if they manage to do that, kudos to Punjab Kings. But that is something that might be a very, very big concern for the team as well. And what is the worrying sign is the fact that there is no experienced hand around Shreyas Iyer, an Indian experienced senior pro who could sort of take something off from Iyer and help him focus on doing what he does best. That may be one of the concerns. Apart from Arshdeep and Yuzvendra Chahal, who are quite experienced, but do they have the aura of a senior player who could sort of put his shoulder over Iyer and help him wade through difficult times? We'll see how that goes. Their playoff chances, I'm putting it at 60, despite all of these concerns, just because they have been there and done that, made the playoffs, so that experience might come in handy for them. So a 60, optimistic 60% for them. Let's see how their season progresses. And the final team, as part of the part one of the preview that we would be doing, is the Orange Army, SRH. Will they be hitting 300? I think that is one question that will have the fans concerned on either sides. Because of way their bowling resources are stacked up, I think they will need their team to hit 300 every single time. Their batting lineup is 100 on 100. Their bowling lineup is 20 on 100. Let's be honest, there is not a single name who could, sort of threaten or derail batting orders in this IPL. And I think they've sort of pretty much know that. And the inclusion of Livingston was doubling down on that philosophy. Their batting firepower is 9 on 10. There is Head, there is Sharma, there is Kishan, Klaasen, Livingston himself, Nitish Reddy. You name them and you have them in the Orange Army. But I think their biggest X factor this season would be the one who would be leading them, at least in the initial few games. That is Ishan Kishan. The man is fresh from leading his side, domestic side, to glory in the Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy. Now someone who played a pivotal role in India lifting the trophy. He's on a run. I think he would want to make it count. So Ishan Kishan continues to be their biggest X factor. And as far as the playoff chances are concerned, I would give them 65% out of 100. And that 65 is entirely dominated because of their batting firepower, to be honest. So from this set, as we see, MI and SRH, I feel, will be making the top two, while CSK remains boom or bust, depending on how their uncapped talent comes up to the fore and how they match up to the expectations that they have. Punjab, somewhere in between, between Chennai and Hyderabad lies Punjab. And as far as LSG is concerned, I think it will take a miracle for them to make the playoff. Cheers.